It was a little past 2 a.m. when she came home. The door closed softly, like she didn't want to wake me. But I wasn't asleep. Her hair was too perfect for a girl's night out. Her eyes were shining, not from wine, but from something else. She carried her heels in one hand, her phone in the other, smiled at me calmly, as if she already knew I wouldn't ask. She froze in the hallway, like an actress before stepping on stage. Maybe she'd rehearse what to say if I dared ask the wrong question. I didn't. She walked past me, the sound of her keys echoing in the bowl by the door. Then she leaned over, kissed me on the lips, cold, mechanical, like handing over a receipt. I didn't react. Just looked at her face, the one that once felt like home. Now I saw everything I'd missed before. Lipstick smudge, but not the way it smudges over wine with friends. Hair slightly pressed at the back, as if someone's hand had been there. And the smell, not mine, sharp, cheap cologne. She sat down beside me, folding her legs under herself, scrolling through her phone like a stranger on a train. I picked up my phone, opened the recorder, and hit play. At first, just silence, the rustle of bed sheets. Then a man's voice, deep, confident. And hers, Oksana's light, happy, the kind of voice she hadn't used with me in years. Her laughter, her whisper. I didn't look away. She froze. Her fingers stopped on the screen. Her eyes flickered recognition, fear. I paused the recording. She blinked a few times, her face stiffening. Then it started. "So you're spying on me now?" She spat, her voice full of venom. I didn't answer, just sat there, silent, watching. The light was on. She was waiting for me. Robe on, hair down, eyes full of someone trying to look strong while falling apart inside. "Where were you?" she asked. Her voice steady, but her hands were shaking. "Breathing," I said calmly. She opened her mouth, ready with another story, another excuse, but nothing came out. Maybe because she finally saw it. I wasn't the same man who used to believe, hope, or beg. I just stood there, a stranger in my own hallway. "You're going to destroy everything," she whispered. I gave a tired smile. "You already did. Oksana, you're still in that hotel room. I'm just catching up." She turned away, staring into a mug of cold tea. No tears this time. They didn't work anymore. I walked past her, opened the kids' room door. My daughter was asleep, hugging her teddy bear. My son lay on his side, his little hand pressed his forehead. I'll save them. And myself too. When I came back, she was standing by the mirror, her back to me, her reflection. Only exhaustion. No love, no fight, just someone trying to hold on to a mask. "What happens now?" she asked again. "Now." I looked her in the eyes. Now it'll finally be honest. For the first time in years. I went into the guest room, closed the door, not slammed, just closed. Sat on the bed and heard her start crying softly on the other side of the wall. Let her. Those tears were hers. Mine had already run dry. That night, when I listened to another man whispering things she used to say to me, lying there, staring at the ceiling, I realized, yes, it hurts. But this pain was clean because it had no lies left in it. And in that truth, there was a chance, a small one, to build something real. Tomorrow I'd make breakfast for the kids, take them to practice, come back, and sit down with a lawyer. Everything open, everything honest. Because sometimes the right thing isn't to burn the house down. It's to walk out quietly and leave the ashes to the one who set the fire. I woke up before the alarm. My eyes burned from lack of sleep, but the usual sticky anxiety was gone. The guest room was cold, windows fogged. The blanket thin, but I could finally breathe. No sound from Oksana. The silence felt heavy. the fridge humming too loudly. I checked on the kids. My son slept with his arms spread wide. My daughter curled up under her blanket, still clutching the bear. I stood in the doorway and thought, they're worth it. Every step through this glass is worth it, just to pull us out of the dirt. In the kitchen, I found an old notebook, the one we use for grocery lists. I tore out a page and began to write a plan. Lawyer, all copies of chats and receipts. Into the safe. Talk to the kids, gently. No dirt. They don't deserve to carry that weight. Open a new bank account. Leave this house behind, not for her, but for them. I didn't even notice when she came in. Hair tied back, dark circles under her eyes, lips pale. She leaned against the doorframe. So you're writing down how you're going to throw me out? Her voice cracked into a bitter laugh. Thin, shaky, fake. I set the pen down. I'm not throwing you out. I'm throwing the lies out. She tried to say something. The usual words, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. Let's fix it. But they died before they reached her lips. Those words had expired, along with the nights she gave to someone else. What about the kids? She finally asked. They'll stay with me. I said evenly, you won't lose them, but everything will be different now. She gave a bitter smirk. You won't make it. I looked at her until she dropped her eyes. I will, I said, because at least now it's all honest. I stood, picked up my phone and the envelope of evidence. I'm going to see the lawyer, I said. She hissed through her teeth. So you're going to turn me in? I smiled faintly. I stepped outside. Summer night. Humid, thick, smelling of wet asphalt. I sat in the car and just stared at the empty yard for 5 minutes. Hands on the wheel, heart pounding. Somewhere above, someone smoked on a balcony, watching the world below. And I wondered, what does this look like from the outside? Just another guy leaving his wife at night, because someone else ran his hands through her hair where mine used to be. The courtyard, the entrance, the faint yellow windows. All of it looked foreign. And inside me, something new began to rise. A bitter kind of freedom. I didn't know what came next, but I knew it was over. No more lies. No more quiet. I'm sorry. That only led back to the same dirt. The engine roared, and I drove off with no idea where I was going. All I knew was I wouldn't come back the same man who left. At some point, I realized I was parked under the window of my old friend, Sergei. We'd known each other since college. He'd known Oksana even longer than I had. His light was still on. I got out, climbed the stairs. The door opened almost immediately. Sergei stood there in sweatpants and an old T-shirt. What's going on? He asked, then saw my face. I said nothing, just handed him the envelope. The second copy. Always good to have a backup plan. He sat at the kitchen table, flipping through the pages, screenshots, receipts, audio files. His jaw clenched, his face turned to stone. Finally, he spoke quietly. Well, damn. I nodded, sat across from him. The kettle hissed. The fridge hummed. Just an ordinary kitchen, except I was sitting there with the wreckage of my life in a paper folder on my lap. What are you going to do? He asked. I don't know, I said. Sergei slammed his fist lightly on the table. The spoon trembled in his glass. You want me to find that guy? I'll make him talk. I gave a faint smile. Don't. I don't need that. Then what do you need? Silence, I said, and to never hear her lie again. He poured me tea. I sipped slowly, burning my lips, but for the first time in a long while, I felt alive. I used to think if Oksana ever cheated, I'd lose it, destroy everything. But now I knew the truth. I wasn't angry. I was empty. And emptiness is scarier because you can't break someone who's already given everything away. You can stay here tonight, Sergei said quietly. I shook my head. The kids are home. I'll go back for them, but not for her. When I stepped outside again, the air felt lighter. Not because betrayal hurt less, it still burned deep in my gut, but because for once I wasn't carrying her lies anymore. Let her carry them herself. I drove home, not to her, but to my children, to whatever was left of my life, the part that could still be real. The courtyard was silent, the same entrance, the same walls where we once laughed, pushed a stroller, argued over dinner. But as soon as I stepped inside, I felt it. This wasn't a home anymore, just a place where my kids slept. Everything else cut off like a limb gone bad. She was sitting in the kitchen when I walked in. I placed the envelope on the table in front of her. Did you really think I was that stupid? I asked quietly. She didn't touch it, just stared, as if there was a gun inside. I wanted to stop, she blurted out suddenly. I swear, I didn't mean to destroy everything. I nodded. You didn't destroy it tonight, Oksana. You've been breaking it piece by piece. Every lie, every fake smile after being with him. That's when it started dying. You came back to this apartment, to our kids, and looked me in the eyes while lying. I paused. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. She covered her face and started sobbing. But I didn't believe those tears anymore. They weren't for me. They were for her. I sat across from her, calm, my hands on my knees. Do you have anything real to say? I asked. She lowered her hands. Her eyes were red, her nose shining, but it wasn't guilt. It was fear. Fear of losing not me, but the life where lies had no consequences. You still love me, she whispered. I smiled faintly. I love the woman you used to be. We sat in silence. From the kitchen, I could hear the slow drip of a leaky faucet. And it hit me. She wasn't my wife anymore. She was a stranger sitting in my living room. Cold, distant, and there was nothing left to fix. But in that emptiness, I felt something strange. Freedom. Maybe that's how a new life starts. Not with a slammed door, but with a quiet crack inside, when you finally stop lying to yourself. She sat motionless, tugging at the edge of the blanket, eyes down. What happens now? She whispered. Something in me turned, like a key unlocking. I don't know, I said. Not yet. 12 years together. A home, kids, a shared past. Funny how everything falls apart when there's just enough lies to hold it up. I looked at her, the robe I once thought was beautiful, the hair I once loved to touch, and felt nothing, just emptiness. I'm still a good mother, she said suddenly. I nodded. You are. You're their mother. They need you. But I don't. She looked up at me, panic in her eyes, not love. She was always afraid I'd stop coming back. Always sure I'd hold on, no matter what. I stood up. I'm leaving for a while, I said quietly. You'll stay with the kids. I'll come back. But for them, not for you. Her voice cracked. You can't just walk away. I smiled sadly. You already did. I'm just catching up. I grabbed my jacket, keys, phone, everything I needed, and walked toward the door. Where are you going? She shouted after me. To breathe, I said, and to think about who I've really been living with all these years. When the door closed behind me, the hallway was filled with silence. Heavy, final, almost peaceful. I'm not turning you in, I said quietly. I'm pulling myself out. I stepped into the hallway. She stayed in the kitchen. among empty cups and words that meant nothing anymore. The door closed behind me, like a full life being cut away in one motion. As I walked toward the car, I realized something strange. Inside me, it wasn't empty anymore. Somewhere deep down, something new was growing, a quiet certainty that I could save myself and our kids. Let her drown in the mess she created. 2 hours later, I was sitting across from a lawyer. No fancy office, no espresso machine, no receptionist. Just an old desk, a stack of folders, fluorescent light flickering. The man was about 40, thin, with the tired eyes of someone who's heard hundreds of families collapse. Nothing could surprise him. I slid the envelope across the desk. He put on his glasses, flipped through the pages. Not a muscle moved on his face. Just a small nod. You got everything here. Photos, messages, receipts. The recording, too. Well done. Then he looked up. Kids are young, 7 and 5, right? She a good mother? For them, yes, I said. For me, no. So you're not looking for war? He asked, almost bored, testing me. No war. I'm not taking their mother away. I just don't want lies in our house anymore. He interlocked his fingers. What about the house? It's mine, I said. Mortgages on me. Kids grow up there. If she wants to leave, she can today. The lawyer gave a dry chuckle. I've seen her type. The moment she feels she's losing control, she'll start with, we're a family. Let's try again. Heard that yet? Last night, I said, and again at 2 a.m., he nodded. Then it's simple. We'll file for divorce. Divide what's fair. She won't drag the kids into court unless she wants a fight. And you're calm, judges like calm men. I listened, but my mind buzzed. This small office felt like the first step. Papers, stamps, signatures. Terrifying and freeing at the same time. Like walking barefoot into snow and realizing it no longer burns. Do you want full closure? He asked suddenly. What do you mean? No chance to come back later. Some people forgive after a year and end up back in the same mud. I looked straight at him. Full closure. So there's no way back. He scribbled something, tore off a page, slid it across. Step by step. What to sign, what to say to the kids. Keep it clean. You're right. They're not the ones to blame. And if she tries guilt, don't bite. That's her last hook. I took the papers, shook his hand. His grip was dry, firm. A man who separates people for a living but never deals in illusions. Outside, a light rain began to fall. I sat in the car, folded on the passenger seat, and for the first time in months, I breathed so deep it felt bright in my lungs. Everything would move on its own now. No yelling, no broken dishes, no cutting up photos with scissors. Just a signature and the truth behind it. And in that truth, there was a revenge. There was release. Home was silent when I returned. Too silent. The radiator clicked. The clock ticked. Tick, tick, tick. Oksana sat on the couch, phone in hand, legs tucked under her. Her eyes were red, not from crying, but from a night without sleep. She didn't look up right away when she heard the key turn. Only when I hung my jacket and placed the folder on the table. You're really going through with it? She whispered. I didn't answer immediately. Went to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, drank it all, warm, tasteless. But the air inside me was still cold and clean. Then I came back, sat across from her. I looked at this woman, someone I once believed without proof. Now I had more proof than faith. You said you'd never leave, she murmured. I nodded. I did. Until you were the one who opened the door first. Not literally, but where we ended. She wiped her eyes with her fingers. There were tears, small, dry ones, already out of strength. "What will we tell the kids?" she asked softly. I glanced toward the hallway, toward the room where they were sleeping. Two little humans, innocent in all this mess adults call love. People who never learned to speak the truth until it was too late. "We'll tell them the truth," I said. "Only what they need to know. That mom and dad aren't together anymore, but they're both still needed. That none of this is their fault. That we'll never betray them." She nodded slowly, waiting for more, but there was nothing left to say. I went to the kids' room and sat on the edge of my son's bed. He stirred, rubbed his eyes. "Dad? You're home," he mumbled. "Home," I whispered, and right then something inside clicked into place. Because home isn't walls or a marriage license. Home is when you can look your child in the eye and know there's no lie standing behind you. My daughter was still asleep. I tucked her blanket, brushed the hair off her forehead. She mumbled something in her dream and hugged her teddy tighter. For them, every sleepless night, every shattered nerve was worth it, because they're the one thing I'll never let break. Downstairs, a door closed softly. I knew she'd gone to call someone, to find a way to fix, to twist, to hold on. But it was already too late. Those who wanted to save, saved. Those who chose to lie, stayed with their lies. I went back to the kitchen, sat by the open window. Cool air moved through the curtains. And for the first time in forever, I didn't want revenge. Didn't want to throw words like knives. Didn't even want to hear her excuses. I just wanted tomorrow, simple, honest, clean, to build something new, from truth, not from cracks. I looked into the dark outside and smiled. Nervous, crooked, but real, because now this story finally had an ending. And in that ending, there was no revenge, only truth, and the silence where you can finally grow again.